Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. Today I wanted to talk about just the difference between addiction and a bad habit. You know, which one have you got? Are you fully addicted to alcohol? Are you addicted to alcohol? Or is it just a habit that has gotten out of control? So, you know, take a look at both of these things and have a look at the difference between what an addiction is and what a bad habit is. Now, a habit is basically anything that you do that you repeat over and over again. So it's something that you do regularly in your life, and your body and your brain acclimatize to it. It gets used to be able to do these things, and you're able to do them automatically. Now, a bad habit is anything that you do regularly, but something that is causing you pain in the present, or it's likely to cause you pain in the future. So you've got into the habit of doing something to yourself now, which is bringing you immediate physical or mental stimulation. For instance, you're getting a pleasure out of it. You're getting a nice feeling out of it, but there's consequences down the road. So you're offsetting your immediate pleasure for your future pain. That's a bad habit. Now, an addiction, for me, an addiction is it's the way somebody is explaining things. It's like that next step. So you've got to the level where you're doing it automatically, and you can't get away from it. That when you do try and stop doing it, that you're getting painful symptoms, or you whether those symptoms are physical or mental. Now, I know for a fact that you can get those type of symptoms just from a habit. You know, I had a habit for a long time of biting my fingernails and biting the corners of my fingers just in there, and ripping the skin off, you know. And it was a really I still do it every so often when I'm getting, you know, if I'm feeling a lot of stress, if I'm feeling sort of hyped up, I find my fingers go into my mouth. But it's one of those things that I do automatically, and it's when I can't do it, when I force myself not to do it, it feels uncomfortable. So is that an addiction? Now, in the modern day world, we seem to have groups, 12-step groups, different groups like that are aimed towards addictions of all different types, whether those are sex addictions, addictions to TV, gambling, shopping too much exercise, eating too much. There's all these little groups that are, or all these, basically they're trying to break things down into individual addictions, individual bad habits that they're trying to solve in and of themselves. So instead of teaching people how to deal with the bad habits and what bad habits are, how to get around them, and how to make sure that they replace their bad habits with good habits, and that these habits, these bad habitual behaviors that they don't want, don't reoccur into their lives. So it's an overall thing. Instead of doing that, they're teaching people that there's a specific way to deal with a drinking habit, there's a specific way to deal with a TV habit, there's a specific way to deal with a habit of biting your nails or picking your nose or swearing or doing any of this stuff. That's completely wrong to me, because, you know, how are you ever going to deal with your life? How are you ever going to deal with just that overall habitual behavior? We are habit machines. That is what we are designed to do. So whether you're building a good habit for yourself or a bad habit for yourself, there is going to be continuous habits being built throughout your life. And we have to sort of learn how to, first of all, how habits are built, how our own habits are built. And I'll talk about that in a second. And secondly, how to stop certain behaviors from becoming addictive, from getting to that stage where you just can't help doing it, that it becomes a compulsion. So that's, I mean, for me, it's a compulsion when a habit turns into, a bad habit turns into an addiction once it starts to become compulsive, where you start feeling negatively when you can't do it. Now, your addiction, your bad habits, can only be understood in the way that you experience it, right? So, say you're going to a 12-step group or a group, just a group meeting where there's a guy talking about addictions and this is how you should do it. He's talking about himself, that person that's standing up there. I'm talking about myself when I'm talking to you on this video. So I'm talking about how it affected my life, how it affected my body, how it fits into my family, how it affected my relationships, my job, what kind of feelings I got when I drank, what kind of emotions I felt, all those kinds of things. That is how it affected me. Now, any addiction can only be understood in terms of the person who is feeling it. So in my case it's me, in your case it's you. And you have to look at it from your perspective. And the only way that you can, I mean, if you were to try and separate each of your addictions, each of your bad habits out into individual ones and learn how to solve them as individuals, then you're going to find that you're always dealing with these things. There's always going to be another bad habit popping up because you haven't learned how to deal with the whole thing. So the whole thing at the beginning was, are you addicted or is this just a bad habit? And I don't know if I really answered that, but what I'm trying to say is that if you can learn about your own habits, if you can learn about what methods your body takes and what thinking is behind your own habits, if you can learn how you develop from a good habit into a bad habit, which one, how the bad habit starts to become compulsive, and how that then starts to head down the road of being an addiction, then if you can learn that, then you'll never have any more problems with any habits in your life, because you'll see them coming. You'll see which ones are good for you in your life and which ones are bad for you in your life. So I hope that makes some sort of sense. Now, one of the biggest reasons I don't like the word addiction is because it's associated with just people that have lost control. It's associated with a lot of drugs, whether it be alcohol or heroin or cocaine, or there's always that addiction is always there. And to me, dealing with habitual behavior, even if you name it a bad habit, right, is a lot easier on the brain, on your mind, to deal with, to come to terms with, to accept into your life and say, well, it's only a bad habit. And it's a lot easier to deal with that than to sort of go, well, I have to deal with it as an addiction. There's plenty of, there's $1 billion industry that's out there that's trying to take your money off you, and that is trying to convince you that every bad habit that you've got in your life, everything that you do in your life that's leading you away from what you want to be doing, down a negative road, let's say, there's plenty of people who want to take your money and put you into an institution, where they say, yeah, well, we can cure this and we can cure that, and you can't do this on your own. So that's why I think that treating a drinking problem, treating drinking alcohol as habitual behavior, whether that is on your own or you're treating it like, whatever way you approach this, whether you approach it as a personal problem that you've got, or as just something that you see in your own life that is caused by your society, and that you don't want to be part of that sort of behavior anymore, or a mixture of the two, which is the way I looked at it. It's part personal problem, part society. I'm responsible for myself being putting each mouthful of alcohol into my mouth, but at the same time, I was brought up in an environment where alcohol drinking was seen as normal. So by the time I did get to a naive teenager, I didn't know any different. And it's not an excuse, that is a reality. This is the way that we're brought up. And it's only when you really start to notice the pain in your life that you start to see those things. So, from that perspective, I can only see talking about yourself as having an addiction as being a bad thing. So I much prefer to call it a habit. Habitual behavior is much more easier to deal with. If you have any questions at all about it, give me a shout. If you want me to talk about anything at all, just send me an email at kevin@alcoholmastery.com. And until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Onwards and upwards.